Welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd. We're already on episode 5 now. I mean, I said it last episode 4 with Jeff Mitchell. I mean, what an incredible episode that was. What an incredible episode I've had with Dave Knittel and then El Parcero to kick this thing off. But now I'm joined by another fan of the Philadelphia Union who's been a season ticket member for 10 years. I'm joined by Pat. How are you doing today, Pat?
Good. Thanks for having me on. This is definitely exciting. Listen to an episode of yours. I love Union content, and we finally are starting to see some out there. So this is like very exciting.
Yeah, I know. When I first was thinking about getting in, covering the team and everything, I saw a couple podcasts and everything, and I was like, okay, well, there is a little bit of a following, and I'm like, you know what? I know people are passionate about this team with going to the stadium and everything, but another podcast can't hurt, because at the end of the day, the more people that are giving coverage to this team, the better it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. There is a shortage of coverage out there, and the fans are doing it themselves, and I love it. I listen to as many Union podcasts as I can. I listen to the Doobie Brothers. It's Always Soccer in Philadelphia, View from a Bridge. I don't know if you know that there used to be maybe like 6-7 years ago, Vuvuzela Blast, which was a radio show dedicated to soccer in Philadelphia, short-lived. So it's good to see that there's now multiple outlets and producing content on a consistent basis.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I did not know that. So it's kind of cool that there was a soccer show based in Pennsylvania and everything. You know, I live in Maryland and everything, and so listening to sports talk radio here in the state of Maryland, I mean, I always hate it because like nobody talks about soccer. And I get it, you know, soccer's not big in the country and everything, but in my opinion, soccer is rising and everything. So whether that's people talking about it on the radio, whether it's other podcasters giving the sport a chance to grow and everything, to try to get it to grow into people, I mean, I love it. But I want to start with you. How did you become a fan of the Philadelphia Union?
I mean, I love soccer. I've been playing soccer majority of my life. And when I was in 8th grade, I read an article. It might have been an op-ed in the Bucks County Courier-Times. This was probably the year 2005, 4, around there. And it was just like MLS should come to Philadelphia. And I wrote a paper for my 8th grade class, English class. And my teacher said, basically, soccer's a kid's game and it wouldn't work as a professional sport. And I held that grudge until the Union were announced in 2010.
Yeah, I really hope that you took that paper back to the teacher and everything and said, see, I told you so. And I mean, it's great just seeing how much the team's grown from the first year to what it is now and everything. So, I mean, just for somebody to like try to put you down for that, I mean, it kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth and everything, because, I mean, soccer, in my opinion, is the greatest sport in the world and everything, and especially, like, an 8th grade kid and everything. Like, how can you tell this kid, oh, now you're just out of your mind, like, now this is never going to happen? But sure enough, it did happen.
Yeah, it did. It happened my senior year of high school was when they had the announcement, and I got to go to the announcement at Dilworth Plaza, and that was really cool. Mayor Michael Nutter was there, the Mummers were there, Sons of Ben were there, and it was a really neat thing to see. And I guess that's what hooked me on being the fan. And I'm waiting for us to win a cup, and I'm gonna find my 8th grade teacher, and I'm just gonna rub it in her face, because I think I still have that paper I wrote somewhere in my mom's house.
No, definitely. I mean, like, you use that for motivation and everything. I mean, it's going to happen, you know. I thought this season that we had a really, really good chance for it to happen and everything, and we came short and everything, but that's what I want to touch on next, or just some of your favorite moments from last season. Don't say the playoff game, though, because we'll save that for later. Yeah.
I knew this season was going to be special. The FC Dallas home game early on, when Bedoya scored that 90th minute, it was a stoppage time goal, and, like, I just remember like talking to my dad like on the ride home, me and him season ticket holders together, and like we were just like, wow, like this team showed resilience, they showed like grit, they got the goal, like Bedoya stepped up and got the goal. And I mean, so that was one like major highlight. Number 2 would be I went down to DC for the DC game where we blew them out. That whole day was wild. My friend, my dear friend, she's like, yo, let's go. Like, she lives in DC. She got tickets, her friends. I go down. It happens to be in their supporter section. And it threw me way off because, like, she didn't give me any heads up of where we were sitting. She just was like, yeah, I got, like, the cheapest tickets available. I'm like, fine. Like, it's a new stadium. We had a great time in DC, and I roll up, and I realized where we're sitting, and I had to change my shirt real quick. I did not want to be disrespectful, and I'm in the crowd, and when Bedoya scored, I couldn't help but celebrate, and everyone was giving me shit around me, and I feel like I completely disrespected the DC fans by my presence there, and that's fine by me. I had no control over it, and it's hard. It's a rare sight to see us blow a team out, completely outperform a team, especially on the road.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I was gonna ask you. I mean, once Ali scored that goal, like, did you celebrate? But you already answered that and everything. I mean, I think about that all the time. Like, doing the podcast and everything, and just like going to the games, I'm celebrating and everything. But like, if I ever went into media and everything in a press box or something, like that would be really, really hard not to celebrate in the press box where you're supposed to be professional and everything. So it's kind of like you in the away support in the home supporter section. Sorry, celebrating and
Yeah,
everything. And it's like, I mean, you're there supporting your team, and like I get it. It's really, really hard, and you're there trying to be professional. But at the end of the day, like you said, you don't expect them to blow out DC United on the road. But the other question I want to ask you, so everybody knows Ali Bedoya went and picked up the field mic and everything. Did you guys notice that when you were at the game, or?
I thought he was just kneeling. I don't know. He like ran over to the side and did a kneel. I was celebrating and talking to some of my friends, my friends' friends who were DC United fans, and like rubbing it in their face. I did not know. My phone broke also that day, like on the ride up to DC. So when I fixed my phone like 2 days later, there was like 100. Like my mom was texting me like, "Oh, we like so much like you were at the game, and that's really cool." Like I had no clue what he said, as far as like trying to make a political statement, and my phone blew up because I guess everyone thought I would be able to like hear. That was
Yeah.
a TV mic, so in the stadium you didn't hear anything.
Because I mean, obviously, watching the game from home and everything. I mean, they pan on Ali Bedoya, but I mean, you being in the stadium and everything. One, you're not going to be able to hear that because it's a TV mic, and then two, I mean, you're there celebrating, and it's kind of hard when the players are surrounding Ali Bedoya and everything. So,
Yeah,
what's your third memory?
they're the Atlanta game. I think that should be everyone's. That was like just an incredibly special day to be a Union supporter. I remember I had my cousin's graduation party, and it was the first time where I'm at a family function pre-Union match, and everyone was talking soccer. Like my family's very accepting to soccer, even the ones that don't like it, they tolerate it, and people were talking, and I remember I had multiple conversations with cousins saying like, "Oh, if we win this, we're gonna get we have a good shot at Champions League. Like we have a good shot to continue a good run of form, get Champions League." And I remember everyone saying like, "Why would we want that?" So it was like, apart from the day being special, the game being special, I had this realization that like the average sports fan thinks Champions League might be a complete waste of time, and which I find hilarious. Because like as a soccer brain, we're wired to think like that's like one of the achievable, like the unachievable goal for like the Union. And then getting to the stadium, and that was like the first time I went to Larimer.
Yeah, yeah, the bar. Yeah.
So that was cool. And then the game itself, I don't need to like go over.
No, you know. I
I was
think we
just
all know what happened in that game. So. Yeah, that those are three really, really special moments, and I'm especially glad you brought up that DC game and everything. I haven't had too many people bring up that DC game, so I'm like I said, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm sure since you said you heard the first episode and everything, my three games I brought up were the 3-2 victory on the road against Minnesota United, the 3-2 comeback victory against New York Red Bulls, the El Senior game, and then the 1-1 draw versus LAFC at home. That was a game for myself where I really started to believe in the Union that we could make some serious noise in the playoffs. Nobody gave us a chance in that game against LAFC. I didn't even give ourselves a chance. You know, I went in there expecting us to lose. I was like, if we don't get blown out, then this is a good result. But to score in the third minute by Casper, to really just take it to LAFC, I was like, we have a real chance to win this game. And we kept Carlos Vela quiet for most of the night. I know we got a goal and everything. Andre probably could have done better, but, you know, at the end of the day, LAFC came into our house and everything where everybody's expecting them to blow us out, and we held our own against them.
That was like my first criticism of Andre Blake. I think the goal they gave up. That game was epic though, because no one gave us a chance. And I remember my old roommate. He texted me and he's like, "I'm at Sugar House. I'm going to play some bets." And he's like, "What are the odds that we actually get like the Union could pull off something?" And I was like, I wouldn't bet against him. And I think he ended up putting down money and ended up getting money back because of that.
Yeah, that's definitely awesome. I mean, I I'm so glad people didn't come to me for betting advice because I would have been like, yeah, I mean, LFC is going to come in here and win and everything, and I'm so glad that the team proved myself wrong, and I'm sure so many other fans around the stadium had the same thoughts as me. But something else I want to move on to is we saw on Twitter this week, Instagram, wherever you get your Union news. That the Union and Bimbo have signed a new 4-year contract extension. What are your thoughts on this?
I love Bimbo. They've been a good sponsor to us. I know a lot of people don't like them. They're a premier bread company, baked good company throughout the world. One of the largest. Their U.S. facilities are based not too far from Chester. I live with a person who's like heritage is Mexican, and that attracted him and his family to actually go to a game before they ever met me. So like we're talking, like it actually draws people in, and people, it's a recognizable brand. A lot of people dislike it for a connotation that's way outdated, and that's fine. They're allowed to have that opinion. But this is our first shirt sponsor, and I'm not ready to move on from it. I'm also excited for the whatever they do with the away jersey. I kind of hope it's intimate.
Yes, so do I. I mean, I really do too. I said yesterday with Jeff that I was like, man, you can give us Edmonds, you can give us beefsteaks. I don't care. I mean, this is the first time in MLS history where a team's going to have a separate sponsor on their away kits other than what their primary sponsor is on their home kits and everything. So I mean, it's kind of cool that the Union, been around for 10 years and everything, and they're the first team in MLS history to kind of step away from what the norm seems to be with having that same sponsor on the home and away kit. And I'm all about whoever gives the most money and everything. And I know, like you said, I mean, people are gonna have difference of opinion and everything. Oh, this is derogatory, and oh, I'm not gonna be seen wearing bimbo and everything. But now they're gonna have a different company on the away kit, and it's like, look. The union front office, they're listening to people and everything. It's like they're giving you a choice. No matter, it's not going to be Bimbo. It's going to be one of their other brands and everything. So I do applaud the front office for listening to the fans after all these years of people complaining, oh, I'm not going to buy a kit and everything. And I said it with Jeff, I don't care what the sponsorship is. I'm buying another away kit because last season's away kit was really, really slick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're starting to produce some slick jerseys, and they form like Bimbo has been cool about adding the logo in to making it look good. The way it looked good with the Bethlehem Steel jersey, the way it looked good with other jerseys. The away jersey last year was nice. So I'm excited to see what we continue to produce, and also Bimbo has created some memorable moments. They hand out free bread. They used to hand out free bread sometimes after games, and like that was always just really funny to me. There was like times after like it will be cold outside and it's like a dark night, and then we're all upset because the Union lost, and then there's just a line of people grabbing bread, and it kind of felt like Great Depression era, and it gave the team a kind of quirk.
That I love that story right there. I mean, see, you've been a season ticket member for 10 years and everything, and I'm sure you have so many stories you can pass on and everything just of your experiences being at Talent Energy and everything. And that's one of those stories that I don't see anybody talk about on social media anywhere. So I'm so glad you brought up that story right here on the show. But
Yeah,
what are your thoughts? Because I see people saying Wawa and everything, and everybody loves Wawa. I feel like so. What are your thoughts? I mean, people are like, "Oh, Wawa should have came out here and everything," and people on the
does Wawa
podcast
have
have
that?
said, "Oh, well, I mean, they're regional. They're not a national brand," and that's another reason why I like Bimbo because they're nationally known around the whole country.
They're international. I mean, based out of Mexico. You have people want Wawa, but also like, does Wawa have the capital to donate to match Bimbo? And also, like, I love Wawa. I go to Wawa all the time, but it is regional for brand awareness internationally, which like that is plays into a part with the with a like a jersey sponsor. I don't know if it would be. There is like, I guess, a charm to having like a small town thing, like something from Philadelphia on there to make it feel extra real. And I feel like if they had Wawa, like they would be selling jerseys at Wawa and people would be buying them. But I don't know, like if Wawa's a nice convenience store.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like when you go internationally, nobody knows who Wawa is. I mean, even if you go down farther south, people don't know what Wawa is. So it's like it's only a northern thing. So my next question for you though, I haven't asked this to anybody, and I probably should. But in your opinion, if you can, who was the best player for the Union last season?
I think Jamiro Monteiro, Jamiro, or I don't know. That's a tough. Kai Wagner was pretty impressive. There was a whole like the team played as a unit, and I think that's why we punched above our weight sometimes, or we're able to outproduce against like teams like Atlanta. I think Medunjanin was a big part of that, even though he had defensive liabilities, like predominantly Jamiro.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. You know, on my list, I have Jamiro or Kai. I think they were both excellent, and I think if I would ask people, you know, the most improved player, I think everybody would probably say Jack Elliott. Who expected
Yes.
Jack Elliott to have the kind of season he did? He came up with so many crucial goals for us this season. He saved so many goals this season. I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's hard to pick out one individual player. I know you can say Casper too because of his goals and everything, but
Yeah.
it's like every single game, it seemed like somebody else was stepping up, whether it was in the defensive zone or whether it was somebody getting an assist or whether it was somebody scoring a goal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like the team really played as a team, and it's hard to pick out who was number one. I mean, I'm sure Bedoya had a lot to do with it. I mean, he's the captain. He sets a mentality in the locker room, and that definitely transcends onto the field. So it's hard to tell, and everyone deserves credit.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's really it's really hard to single out one player because I mean, you said it best. I mean, it was more so a team performance than any individual performances. But I'm going to move on though to what players you expect to be back and everything next season. I mean, I've been doing it the last four episodes, giving the names of players who are coming back, and I'm not going to do that because by now everybody should know who's coming back for the
Yeah.
2020 season. But the players that are out of contract are Colin, Elsinio, and Monteiro, and I'll save Monteiro for the end. So, do you see Elsinio or Colin coming back next season?
I think El is definitely going to come back. I can't see him going anywhere else. I mean, I can. There's a million clubs in the world, and someone would pay for him. I think he's very comfortable here. I want him back. Colin, it's hit or miss. I could care less. Like we rotate a veteran. It seems like we rotate a veteran corner center back, regularly. We have a young core, so I could care less if he's back. Nothing against him. Seems like a very nice guy. It's whether or not we think he could play the 5 games that we need him to play at a high level, and maybe the Open Cup, or we go with a younger player.
No, absolutely. I do agree. I think, you know, Colin's definitely a player that we can move on from. I mean, I'm sure you probably felt the same way. But, you know, there was times last season when Colin would play where, you know, he just didn't seem up to speed against some of the faster players and everything. And he would go in there and make clumsy challenges and give away some penalties or some stupid free kicks and everything. And I'm like, you know, I'm all for having a veteran center back in the team and everything. But if well, what's the point of having a veteran center back if you still can't play? And I think Colin's one of those players who is near the end of his career and everything. And it's like, okay, if we can get another veteran center back someplace on the market, or if we can get a younger center back, or maybe we bring somebody up from Bethlehem Steel, I mean, I'm all for that. And yeah, it sucks that, you know, we traded Auston Trusty and everything, and we'll get that to a moment. But what are your thoughts on RJ Allen and Fabinho's contracts being declined?
I mean, we saw it coming. RJ Allen barely played. I remember RJ Allen from previous stints in MLS, and he's just not an MLS player. He is not MLS quality. We were at a desperate time. We signed him as security, and we fortunately didn't really need to use him that much. So no weird feelings towards him. I hope he, enjoyed his time and that pay raise for that short period of time in MLS and loved Philadelphia. He can go back to New York. I think that's where he's from, and play for like Brooklyn Italians or whatever lower level team and kill it there. Fabinho, we saw coming. He barely played. I expected him to retire at the end of the season. I love Fabinho, like the most cheerful human you could ever meet. Always willing to applaud fans. Like if he's just warming up and someone yells out like, "Hey, Fabinho," he'll give you a thumbs up and a big smile, and that's cool. And there are moments that are invaluable because I remember when we first signed Fabinho, he came from like the Australian League, and like he was all and nothing good was supposed to come out of him, I feel like. And he played so sloppy his first couple of games here. And I want to say early on he got a goal. Got a goal or an assist, I don't remember. So like I started to warm up to him, and his personality is infectious on the field. So I always loved Fabinho, but it's also he's old. and it's time to move on. I think we need to upgrade from Ray. Maybe have Ray as a bench player.
Was going to bring up Ray Gaddis, and we can still bring him up a little bit later and everything. I mean, he's one of the four players everybody seems to have had some serious thoughts about and everything, so I'll bring Ray up a little bit later. But what are your thoughts on the trade of Fafa Picault to FC Dallas for $370,000? Fafa was out of contract this season, and then Auston Trusty to Colorado Rapids for $750,000.
I feel like I evaluate Fafa because I thought he should be worth more than that. I thought that Fafa was great for his time here. We may have played him out of position a number of times. We may not have used his skills to the best of our ability, but I hope he kills it in FC Dallas. Obviously not when we play them, but I hope he has a good season. He's part of a good system. I'm definitely going to follow him because he just was a fun player to watch. And some friends of mine that have gone to games with me over the years have just been mind blown by his speed, but also I think you kind of got hints that he wasn't coming back towards the end of the year, and mentally I prepared myself. It is sad. Fafa was a lot of fun, and he's one of those players that you just really hope the best for the next his next game, his
next destination. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's a player who gives his all and everything, and I really appreciate, the hustle and everything. I remember just going, I forget what game it was. It doesn't matter because, it seems like every single game Fafa is running as fast as he can, but I was just really, really impressed with his speed. And, watching European soccer for the last 10 plus years and everything, you see a lot of strikers who aren't willing to come back and play defense. And that was not the case with Fafa. I mean, he has a mentality of where, any striker wants to score a goal, but I feel like in Fafa's case, it's the team first and everything else that he can do stats wise second. And, if it sucks losing him and everything, and we're going to have to replace him with somebody with that same mentality and everything. But I'm with you. I mean, with the formation that Ernst seems to want to go with, the 4-4-2 and everything, there's no place for wingers on this squad. And I know Jim gave Fafa plenty of chances up top and everything, but at the end of the day, I think we're looking at more bulkier strikers than a little skinny speedster.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we started to see the big shift, because David Accam had a few good games for us, and it looked like he could really turn around and have a big season for us this year. And we traded him away, and it was okay, so we benched him first, and we traded him, and it was this is stylistically, we are moving away from this for good, and it felt Fafa's out of contract, he's gonna be
the next to go, yeah. And honestly, You're right. I mean, the writing was on the wall, and it should have been. I mean, I'm glad you brought that up too, because David Accam had that great game against New England early on in the season, and like you said, it seemed like finally we paid $1.2 million to Chicago Fire for him in 2018, and we're like, this is the player that we paid all this money for and everything. He's finally coming into his own, and then a couple days afterwards, he's gone, and it's but how? This guy seems like he's finally getting it and everything, and then you hear Ernst say, yeah, we really want to play this 4-4-2 formation, and if we're trailing or whatever, and Jim wants to switch to 4-2-3-1 and everything, that's fine and everything, but I think Ernst knew that David's career was going to be wasted here, and Fafa, I'm sure was thinking too, I'm going to be fifth striker on this list with Corey Burke, it seems like, is coming back, Casper, Andrew Wooten, it just doesn't make sense for Fafa to be on the bench because I think he's too good to be on the bench. And like you said, he's going to get a brand new start in FC Dallas, and hopefully that first game when we play FC Dallas, hopefully Fafa doesn't hurt us too bad.
Yeah, exactly. I agree 100%. I think the union looked at it this guy is too good to be this far down. He's going to warrant another, we got something from him.
For a player that was out of contract. You can't ask for anything more.
Yeah.
And then Auston Trusty to Colorado. We traded our first homegrown player for, well, I guess that's a lie because Keegan, we traded the year prior to Colorado. But our first homegrown that we traded for a good chunk of change.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Zach Pfeffer, did he end up going to Colorado too? I feel like we have a thing where we just ship off young players to Colorado. I know McMath went there. So I guess glad he's with
Keegan.
I loved Auston Trusty. I was 100% in on the Auston Trusty train. And when, the middle of the year, you start seeing, we did see a drop off from him. And McKenzie has took his shot to become the superior center back. We have some young kids that look like they could play. center back. We have a lot of, like talent in this. And I think it was just he needs the fresh start. I think mentally he was worn out. I think maybe not starting, losing his starting spot kind of got to him. Seems like there was more going on than just what was going on the field. His play rapidly declined, and you wish him the best because a young American center back. Hopefully, he could develop. I mean, and play for the national team, reach his full potential. That's where I thought his potential could be. I mean, we'll see. Colorado ended the season strong, and hopefully they continue that. And Trusty is a big part of it.
No, I absolutely agree with you. And, if Austin has a great season and everything, we got that 30% sell on clause if Colorado decides to sell him. So that's even more money that could be potentially coming our way and everything. So, like you said about Fafa, as long as when we play Colorado, as long as we play against FC Dallas, as long as our guys that we traded away don't hurt us, then hey, I'm all for those trades and everything. And Austin, I mean, growing up in Philadelphia his whole life and everything, maybe it was just time for a change of new scenery and everything. And maybe we will see the best of Austin Trusty because I do believe, there was moments last season where we were seeing what kind of center back Austin can be.
Exactly. We saw some moments of brilliance and we saw some very poor decisions. And I remember thinking, like, man, we should just bench him for like a game or two and then he'll be right back at it, right back on top. And, he never kind of reclaimed his rightful throne. It was because I loved Austin Trusty. The sell on, like, any added bonus is if he kills it in Colorado and gets sold to Europe and we get some money back. That's just, icing on the cake.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Now, like you alluded to a little bit earlier, Ray Gaddis. What are your thoughts on Ray? I think I heard you say it's just time for Ray to go on the bench. So, do you believe we have the right back of the future on the team already, or do we have to go out and potentially sign a new guy?
I think we need to sign a new guy. It is hard because, like, I mean, we have Matt Real and then Mbizo.
Bizo, yep.
And Mbizo impressed me. But he played such a small sample. I've seen play such a small sample. I'm not willing to be like, all right, he should be the starter. I think he should have an equal shot at it. I don't know, because I mean, we can't have Ray start every game and play every game like we did last year. He got beat a little too much. He had moments of brilliance. There were times that he like turned back the clock and he looked better than he ever had. And he's a charismatic human being, a great guy on and off the field. Every encounter I've had with him, I've ran into him in the city once, and he's seems like just a genuine guy. So I don't want to say I want him to leave because I think could be a great, like, he's a professional, great for younger kids to look up to be in the academy, and he's a great example. And I think like he could still help us out if you say we're playing in the Open Cup and other competitions. Ray can get a shot and play well, and I think he can do well in short stints. But we can't have him if we can land another Kai Wagner type.
Exactly. No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, like we were talking about Colin and everything, Ray brings that veteran experience and everything. He's been with the team for 10 years. He has over 200 appearances and everything. And that's what excites me about Ray is because he's a guy who's seen pretty much there is all to see in MLS. And when we have these young guys coming up and everything, there's going to be the first shot at professional soccer and everything. And, if they have questions and everything, they can go to Ray and Ray can help them out and everything. And that's the one thing I do like about Ray. He goes about his job. He's not the best at his job and everything, but he gives his all and everything. And that is going to be hard to replace. But I'm with you. If we can get, another Kai Wagner, but this time on the right, I think we're going to be set. But what are your thoughts on Andre Blake?
Oh, Andre is like he had a regression year. He had a step back. I think like he made more blunders this year in big moments than he's ever had. Whether or not we can attribute that to injuries or short rest, because like he has had a series of years where he's been consistently on very short rest between here and the Jamaican national team. Who knows? But I think this is his make or break year. We have Freeze coming up. We have options to sell him. He's definitely a hot commodity. I mean, and if the price is right, by all means, the Union should go for it and sell him and bring someone else in or go with who we got and beef up the defense. But I would like to see Blake make or break year this year. I wouldn't be upset if he was like a lifetime Philadelphia player, because I love Andre. I love him from the moment he was drafted, but it's also, he had some big blunders that cost us. And that was the one thing that we were supposed to be able to rely on. So, if we see a continued trend of regression, then yes, you should sell or part ways, whatever.
Yeah, I do agree, and I have to go back and look at everything. I should have done it when you were talking, but I think this is the last year Andre has on his contract. So it's like you're fighting for a new contract this year, Andre. I mean, if you want to stay in Philadelphia, you got to have a good year. If not, then I'm sure another team in MLS would pick you up. I was under the impression when the time to sell Andre Blake to a European team was when he won goalkeeper of the year, and we heard rumors that there was a team in England interested, but he ran into work visa issues and everything. The deal never got done and everything. And now just all these teams saw the blunders that Andre Blake
Yes.
had. And it's like, yeah, maybe Andre Blake can just put that behind him and everything. It was a one off and everything. But that is, in my opinion, going to turn some teams away if Andre Blake continues to have those kind of mistakes. But what are your thoughts on Jamiro Monteiro? Do you think he comes back with the team next season?
I hope he does. It has a feel that he's coming back. I mean, we cleared a lot of salary cap space, a lot of money, and I hope we invested in him. If there was one player that I that we need to bring back, it's him. I think he's one of the most vital players, especially. I mean, a midfield can only lose so many players before it completely falls apart. We lost Madunian in.
We lost
Um,
Fabian.
Yes, we lost Fabian. So, you're losing key players. I hope we bring him back. It feels like we're bringing him back, but also he can go. I mean, he had a great showing. I think that the asking price will be steep, and I don't know if we're willing to invest in him.
No, I agree with you. I think, it's not a matter of do we have the money or not. Like you said, we shed a lot of salary. We got a lot of money back for Auston Trusty and Fafa Picault, and I think we do have the money. I think FC Mets are going to be looking around 2.5, $3 million for Jamiro. I think we can afford to play it, and I know that would break our all-time record fee, which was David Accam from Chicago Fire for 1.2 million. But it's like I think we have the money, and then I think Jamiro would probably be asking for around 3 million a year and everything, which. In my opinion, I think we can also afford that. But I think Jamiro is a player who, like you said, he had an outstanding season in MLS. He kind of found himself again, where FC Mets weren't giving him a chance, didn't want to play over there in France. And so he comes over to MLS and just makes a name for himself and everything. And, if we notice that and everything, that's obviously, teams over in Europe notice this too. And I think Jamiro, as much fun as he had here in Philadelphia, I think he's a player who still wants to go test the waters over in Europe, whether that's another shot at FC Mets or whether that's in another country. But ultimately, I don't think Jamiro is going to come back, even though we have the money.
Yeah, I think that his asking price is steep, and as much as I want him back, as much as it's good for the team and probably good for him as the player, because if he'll get consistent minutes, I think like the allure of like I keep hearing I heard like rumors of Turkish teams looking at him. I mean, I think he's going to land somewhere in Europe. As much as I think that at least we'll give a shot and negotiate with him, I don't. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and hopefully they have. I mean, I trust that they have Plan B and C, and are working on them too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I trust Ernst 100% because how many people can say, "Yeah, I knew who Jamiro Monteiro was"? Nobody. If you
Exactly.
say, "Yeah, I know who Jamiro was," you're a liar. Unless you're like super duper into soccer, where you follow all these teams around the world and all these lower teams, which I don't think there's many people out there like that. So I think Ernst does have an idea of if he doesn't come back, or Ernst probably even has an idea if Jamiro is going to come back. But then the last player I want to bring up is Marco Fabian, who we found out after the season wasn't even Ernst's guy in the season to begin with. So, what are your thoughts on Marco's time here in Philadelphia?
I think that he had a lot of like there was a friction between him and maybe Ernst. Maybe I don't know. I mean, like he came in injured. I feel like we rushed it. I wish he came back for season two. He developed some memorable moments. We saw quality. I think that it took him some time to acclimate. He never really fully acclimated, and he didn't really receive that full off season. I've learned not to really judge a player until they have a full MLS off season before they get into the swing of things. And I would have loved to have seen him back for one more year. But I think that we or the organization itself saw an out and took it.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I'm going to go ahead and answer your question that you asked me before we even recorded. You said, what can the union do to increase attendance? And I think, that was the right step in the right direction, bringing in a Mexican international player. I mean, I saw so many Mexican fans this season at the stadium wearing Mexican jerseys. I've seen so many Hispanics out at the stadium this season, and I think that's the right step in the direction. But ultimately, I think the best thing the union can do is keep winning games. You win games, people are going to come out. No matter if the stadium's in Chester, whether it's in Philadelphia, people love a winner. And when the team like we had this season can just constantly win games and everything, people are gonna come out. And I was just really, really impressed with, just the amount of people I saw come out to the stadium this season. Just doing research online, the team was up 3.6% in attendance wise from the 2018 season. So they averaged around 17,111 people. And yeah, we know Talon holds 18,500. And yeah, there was a lot of times the team's like, oh, we sold out the stadium and everything, which, I mean, you can look around and everything and see that, yeah, there's still empty seats and everything. And I guess they're taking the tickets sold and everything. But if you look at a team that's winning, people are going to come out no matter where you're at. And I think that's the biggest thing you can do if you're the union to increase attendance. It's like no matter how much you market and everything, if the team's winning, people are going to come out to watch you guys.
Exactly. And Fabian, I want to piggyback on what you said about Fabian bringing a lot of Mexicans in. Yes, he is a big star, and people traveled to see him. And I think it was cool to see. You see, present like a lot of people wearing Fabian jerseys. That was from day one, home opener. A lot of people wearing Marco Fabian jerseys, and that has to be accounted for. There's a large Hispanic population in South Jersey, and throughout, but Cumberland County is like such a predominant Hispanic, Camden County predominantly Hispanic, and you have people actually going and giving a damn about the union, and that was like a first time. They definitely need to have better Hispanic outreach. And one thing I found interesting, just from I work in Camden County with the school systems, we saw a lot of kids that went for Marco Fabian and ended up falling in love with Brendan Aronson. I found that fascinating to see throughout the year. A lot of young Hispanic kid realized that Brendan Aronson's from South Jersey like them, and it was kind of like that switch over because Brendan Aronson also getting more minutes than Fabian being able to see. So that was a neat little observation I have from this year.
Yeah, that definitely is. And I mean, Brendan, you talk about a player who had such a big season. And maybe we don't even need to go out and replace Marco Fabian. Maybe it is Brendan's spot to lose next season. Rotate him and Anthony Fontana in that number 10 role, even though I do believe Anthony is more of a number 8 than a number 10.
Yeah.
But, that is a good point that you brought up. Just so many people I saw in the stadium this season wearing Fabian jerseys, whether it was Aronson. And it's like, even though Marco Fabian wasn't starting every single game and everything, people were still buying his merchandise and everything. And it's like, another thing I thought the union did a good job was bringing in Pumas. I went to that game and everything, and yeah, there was a lot more Pumas fans than the Union fans that night and everything. And the Union ended up winning that game. And it's like the Union beat a Pumas team that started the regular starting 11, and the Union used all the backups and everything. And like they come in there and they show off against Pumas. And I think, especially to the Latinos, where they look and see, wow, like these guys can actually play and everything. And I think that grabs their respect and everything. And maybe like we know Marco Fabian's not coming back, and it's like, okay, well, since we don't have a Mexican star on the team, that game against Pumas really got Latinos respect and everything. And whether or not we have a Mexican on the team or not, they're still going to come out and support the team. So I thought that was a great performance against Pumas, and I think that did change a lot of perspectives for Latinos.
Yeah, exactly. And like bringing in that stuff, that is important. But now I do feel like there should be pressure on the union front office to bring in a notable name, a Mexican star. Obviously, some of that could benefit from being on the pitch as much as possible. That would help the team, but like that's just going to help skyrocket this team's popularity. It's a win-win. And I want to say Tannenwald wrote like an article similar about this, and because Marco Fabian's the first Mexican star that's played for the Union, and hopefully we have many more. And it may not have entirely worked out as much as I would want to see more of him next year. I would have liked to see him back.
I've always said Javier Chicharito, the ex-Manchester United Real Madrid striker, who's now at Sevilla. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Chicharito play for the Union, but it seems like we're set with our strikers and Corey Burke, Andrew Vutin, Sergio Santos, and Casper. So all these people that are saying, oh, Mario Balotelli or Chicharito or whoever, yeah, I don't think a striker is going to be the Union's number one priority this season. But speaking of players that could potentially be coming to the team, do you have any players in mind that you would like the Union to sign, or any characteristics, or
I do think we need to, I mean, replace a Medunjanin, like find a better version of Medunjanin. I know they're out there. Someone of that like center, holding midfielder, number 8 kind of role, I think would be big for us. Maybe a number 10. I don't know if we want to have, but like we also need to have Aronson play. I'm assuming we're going with the same formation that showed us a lot of success last year. I would not be like, if you have an opportunity, I think you have, like, as a team, you have a due diligence to go out there and seek the best available. So if a Mario Balotelli to Philadelphia or Chicharito is actually realistic, you go for it. And then you cut your losses with Sergio Santos and maybe Corey Burke. Like,
yeah, I've always said Corey Burke. I can't believe that the Union are sticking with him, but hey, they know better than us, I guess.
yeah, I mean, and Corey could have a big season. I'm expecting massive seasons. I'm almost like, Corey Burke and Wooten are going to have big seasons next year. And I think they're going to be like the top signings because they didn't really impact the team this year. And I mean, we need to upgrade Ray and maybe a veteran center back.
I agree with you. I mean, definitely a center back, definitely a right back, and then that midfield. I mean, that's where we need to invest all of our money. Like you said earlier, no Harris coming back, no Marco Fabian. It's looking less and less likely that Jamiro would be back, with it taking so long to get any news. I mean, it's so hard getting news out of the team. That's the one thing, that bothers me just talking about this team, is like you try to research stuff, and it's not many people writing about the team, and it's not much news coming out of the front office and everything like it is over in Europe. But then at the same time, a lot of those newspapers over in Europe are writing a whole bunch of crap and everything. But, just watching the game for so long over there, I kind of have an understanding of who to believe, who not to believe. But I just want to get your thoughts, though, on the Union's first playoff win this season against the New Jersey Pink Hells.
I missed the game. The first game I missed in a long time. I had a funeral that day, and I had to sell my ticket. Which shout out to Union front office for being like super accommodating. I went to them, and it was a major disappointment for me and my dad, who've been season ticket holders for 10 years. We've been up to New York. I've been to DC. I've seen a lot of games, and missing the first playoff win. I mean, I was at all the Open Cup losses. It hurt a lot because I had my phone off and I turned it on as I'm getting, finishing up with the funeral services, and everyone's freaking out. I had like 600 messages, and everyone, like, no one was telling me what was going on. It was just like, I don't believe this is happening, the Union. And reading them in chronological order, it was like the world was ending, and then that we were on top of the world. Yeah, so I found out that it was the best game that has ever been played at Talent Energy Stadium. Maybe like an hour and a half after the game ended. So I was like so excited and happy, and it was a great feeling. And when I got home, I think I got home around 5 a.m. I already had taken off work, so I ended up watching the game at like 5 a.m.
I'm never going to forget that moment. I mean, just being out there in the rain and everything, and just going down and then watching the boys fight back, and then go down again, and then ultimately not think twice about it once the second half started. And I mean, just the energy, the passion that the players, the fans, the coaching staff showed and everything. I mean, that's a moment that I'll keep with me for the rest of my life and everything. And hopefully, for people that didn't get to experience that, that can be more the norm going forward in the future. My final question for you, though, if somebody's debating on going to a Union game next season, what would you say to them?
I mean, just go. I've been telling people that the whole time, just go. It is a great environment to go. Obviously, like family friendly, but individualized as you want. One of the best sporting experiences. Go early. Check out the Larimer. Go. I mean, if you drink, check out the Larimer. If not, check out the Toyota Plaza. They have a lot of neat little things out there for families that keep it fun. They have the little practice fields kids can play on. Obviously, Sons of Ben tailgate if they wanted to go check that out. It is a great game day experience. I push people to go to the Red Bulls game because that is, that's the big game. That's the most fun. Whether or not there are rivals is a debate to be had. It's the most fun, and I think that's like it's like if you can go to that. For the people that are going to one game to see one particular international star, whether it be like Carlos Vela with LAFC, or like people went and saw Zlatan. I mean, go, but also remember, like, pay attention to the home side too, because you're gonna leave, and you have a more fun and whole experience if you embrace the team and maybe come back for a game that isn't
a superstar coming into town. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And it's cool, seeing a lot of these older players that you see in Europe and everything coming into MLS and everything, people that you've seen on TV and everything. And now you get to see them close in person and everything. It's like, I remember when I went to the DC United game this season at home and Wayne Rooney got a red card the previous game. I was a little bit bummed that I never got to see Wayne Rooney flesh in person here in MLS, with myself being a Manchester United fan. But, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm not here to see Rooney. I'm here to support the Philadelphia Union. I'm here to cheer on our guys and everything. Yeah, it would have been cool and everything, but I would have been as loud as anybody else booing Rooney when he walks out of the tunnel. So it is intriguing to see these players, these superstars that you've watched on TV come into town. But at the end of the day, like you said, watch your hometown team.
Yeah, exactly. Root for the home team, and it's starting to get better and better with like the aging MLSR. Yeah, I feel like we're bringing in better talent from around the world, and the league itself is becoming just a fun league to watch. So, I recommend people just come out and catch it live. There's nothing like it. It's not the top quality soccer, but it's quirky enough to where, you just have a blast. And whether it's the Sons of Ben or wherever you sit in the stadium, there's always like pockets of fans that are just having a blast and, very inclusive and very, interactive and people to hang out with. And it can be, a great time. And the stadium itself is beautiful. I took a handful, I've taken a lot of people over the years, and everyone is like, oh, wow, this is a beautiful stadium. So, go and check it out.
Exactly. Yeah, don't debate it. And I love the stadium. I think Talent Energy, even though it's not the biggest in MLS, I think it's in the top 5 for the best looking stadium in all MLS. But before I let you go, Pat, can you let everybody know where to find you on social media?
I have a Twitter account, and I don't know the handle. Same with Instagram. I have an Instagram account. It's like they're all Pat in the Hat something.
I'll link it in the show. It's all good.
Yeah,
probably caught you by
I'm
surprise. So
yeah, I've had my Twitter account for so long. I don't know what the handle is. I just
log in and post.
Yeah. Union social media is probably what has kept me on social media. Other than that, I would be like very off of it. It is also the best social media of any Philly sports team. Eagle social media is always doom and gloom, even when we win the Super Bowl. Sixers social media is great, but also annoying. Philly social media is non-existent. So yeah, Union social media is the best online fake community or real community. I don't even know what to call it. Community there is in Philadelphia internet.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And if you guys aren't following the podcast on social media, you can follow the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Free Kick Pod. You can check out our brand new website at www.thefreekickpodcast.com. That's where you can find all the latest podcast information, where you can find more about myself, more about how the podcast got started. And then you can go ahead and listen to us on iTunes, Google, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, by searching The Free Kick. And then if that doesn't show up, then you can just search The Free Kick and then type in my name, Todd Lewis. But thank you so much, Pat, for coming on. I had a blast talking the Philadelphia Union, and I can't wait to meet up with you at the stadium and just any other fans that I've had on the show.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait. I'll see you at the stadium. Enjoy the off season. Hopefully it brings like good tides to everyone and we all get all the players we want.
Absolutely. And with that said, my name is Todd, and this is The Free Kick Podcast.